Imagine the world if we all practiced civility and fairness. If we all were polite and courteous in our behavior and speech. If we were impartial and just in our treatment towards others without favoritism or discrimination. If we were free from bias or injustice, what a world it would be. Growing up, I witnessed examples of fairness displayed when my father was given the opportunity to be one of the first 2 black police officers in a small southern town in South Carolina, when my sister was voted as homecoming queen in a town that had never had a queen that was black, when my brother was recruited and given a basketball scholarship here at OU in the late 60s based on his athletic ability, and when I was able to be one of the first 2 black female basketball student athletes to receive an athletic scholarship here at OU. I witnessed it when my family was able to purchase a home in Oklahoma in a predominantly white neighborhood when in previous years that would have been unheard of. I also witnessed examples of unfairness when family members and other black friends were required to enter the back doors of their more prosperous white employers' houses, and on the rare occasion that they were given a ride back to their homes after work, they were never allowed to sit in the front seat. When some of these same white employers would give food or products to their black employees that were clearly old, out of date, or barely usable, as if they were mere animals. When there was a separate area in the movie theater that the black patrons had to sit in, and there was a separate local swimming pool where they had to swim. I witnessed it when, although my sister was voted homecoming queen, they decided that they would have 2 queens that year, so they crowned her along with a young girl that was white. When my father went to a local church here in Norman, and instead of being welcomed, he was basically told that he should worship somewhere else. These examples show some of our past and current injustices, some of our progress, and hopefully makes us realize that as a society, we can never rest on our laurels because we have so much more to accomplish. In the midst of some of the unfair treatment that I witnessed, I was still taught to look at civility and fairness as going hand in hand and difficult to separate. It should be the norm that when a child is in a classroom where they are in the minority, they are given the same time, attention, and positive feedback from their teachers, and they should always be included during social activities by their classmates. When someone who has a physical disability is greeted and engaged in communication and made to feel normal instead of being stared at and avoided. When someone is seeking employment, they are given the same opportunity as other applicants instead of being judged by the color of their skin or other factors that are irrelevant to the position. When someone has a different point of view, instead of being disrespectful and criticizing them, we listen and try to understand, and if not, we can agree to disagree. It appears that we need to get back to the basics in our society, where we learn to say please and thank you, and if we walk in front of someone or inadvertently bump into them, we take the time to say excuse me, where we never walk into a building knowing that someone is right behind us, but we can't even take a brief moment to hold the door open for them. We must stop being so distracted by our phones and other devices that we cannot make eye contact long enough to even nod or say hello, how are you? We appear to believe that there are so many other important issues to deal with in our society that teaching politeness and courtesy is the least of our concerns. Common courtesy should be the standard, but unfortunately, it is often the exception. There are many adverse situations in our world that could be diffused or maybe never ignited if our behavior and speech toward each other were different. When we treat all individuals with courtesy and politeness, then it should make it difficult to perpetuate unfairness. If we could only take heed to what my father often said over the years, it's just nice to be nice. What a world it would be. I'll leave you with one last message, and this is through the words of James Patrick Kenny from his poem, The Cold Within. And this is really a lesson, I think, to all of us. This poem says 6 humans trapped by happenstance in dark, bitter cold. Each one possessed a stick of wood, or so the stories told. Their dying fire in need of logs. The first woman held hers back, for among the faces around the fire, she noticed one was black. The next man, looking across the way, saw one knot of his church and couldn't bring himself to give the fire his stick of birch. The third one sat in tattered clothes. He gave his coat a hitch. Why should his log be put to use to warm the idle rich? The rich man just sat back and thought of the wealth he had in store and how to keep what he had earned from the lazy, shiftless poor. The black man's face bespoke revenge as the fire passed from his sight. For all he saw in his stick of wood was a chance to spite the white. And the last man of this forlorn group did naught except for gain. Giving only to those who gave is how he played the game. The logs held tight in death's still hands was proof of human sin. They didn't die from the cold without. They died from the cold within. Thank you.